I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, I'm delighted to welcome back one of my favorite guests, an insightful man by the name of Dr. Tracy Emerick, and he has written a book that is absolutely extraordinary, and it bridges the realms of sports and spirituality. It is called Consummate Coaches, Bill Belichick and Jesus Christ. This engaging and inspiring work captivates both football fans and Christians, as well as everybody else in between. It offers profound insights into the art of leadership and personal growth. Join us right now as we explore how this book can inspire you to become a consummate coach in various life domains. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Inks and Bindings for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his insightful and wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Doctor, welcome back to the show. Great to see you this morning.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now, obviously, they have different dating habits because I don't recall Jesus Christ dating anyone who was 24 years old in the Bible, but Bill Belichick does. But
Right.
they do have some commonalities. Tell us why you decided to choose these two figures, Jesus Christ and the coach of the Patriots, to focus upon.
Okay. Well, the concept of coaching is accomplishing something through the efforts of others. And so when I looked at Bill Belichick and what he's accomplished with the talent that he's hired over the years and developed, it's extraordinary of what he's been able to do. The same thing is true with Jesus, because he started with 12 ordinary men and gave them the message to take out and tell others. And here we are 1.2 billion Christians later. So he must have been pretty good at what he did too.
Exactly. That message
And
really spread. Yep.
and then the thing about a coach is the difference than a manager who accomplishes things through others. Coaches are never off. They're always a coach. They're on the coach on the field. They're a coach on personal items. They're constantly coaching. So it was easy to look at Belichick and say, there's somebody who develops talent but doesn't take credit for it. That's a
Exactly. So
coach.
Belichick took a tall, skinny kid from California who was not a natural and helped turn him into the greatest football player of all time. And
Yes,
Jesus took 12 ordinary disciples who were not kings, were not rich men, but was able to turn them into extraordinary religious figures as well to help spread that message. So I guess your point is it's better to be a coach than to be a leader? Or are they both? Are
well,
they
a
integrated?
coach is a leader, but leaders can go home and turn it off. Where a coach seems to be on all the time. Whatever the topic, whatever the relationship, they're just constantly in that coaching mode.
And is that advisable for someone who is trying to become successful either in their professional life or personal life?
Well, I think if you look at the business side of it,
Okay.
top managers know that their success is the people that work for them. It's not them. And so whenever you see a corporate executive that's pounding themselves on the chest, you know they're heading for failure, because they got to give the credit work to the people who get the job done. Their job is to organize the people, but they're not doing it. They're organizing the people. And so once they start pounding their chest and saying how great I am, that's the beginning of the end for most talent, most managers, if you will.
Exactly. And if you look at, again, I'll use Tom Brady as an example because you talk about Belichick, he always points to the greatness of his teammates. And he always worked as a coach to make them great as well, because he realized his greatness could not come to fruition unless they were great also, because you don't play football by yourself.
That's
You
right.
don't run IBM by yourself. You don't run Toyota by yourself, right?
Right. And the other thing about coaches is great coaches develop great coaches.
Yeah.
People who go on to be a coach themselves often pattern themselves after the one that taught them. So it's that greatness kind of permeates, much like it did with the disciples.
Exactly, exactly. What is it about Bill Belichick and Jesus Christ that you decided to bring them together for this book? Is it pretty much to help target an audience and capture people's attention that they might listen to the core message?
That's the essence of it.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. That's the whole idea, is take people who might not have a spiritual foundation and show them that Bill Belichick has a bit of a spiritual foundation himself. And oh, by the way, here's another guy that accomplished a great deal who is spirituality in person. So it's the idea of kind of mixing the two to spark a thought process. I mean, this isn't a conclusion. This is a thought provoker.
Exactly. It's a conversation and it is provocative and it's meant to be provocative. But if you look at Jesus Christ, it is said that all of the navies that ever sailed, of all the armies that ever marched, of all the kings that ever reigned, no man has had more influence on this world than that one solitary life.
That's
So,
true.
and he didn't do it alone. He did it by spreading a message and by being an effective leader, an effective coach, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And he also gave us the confusion of parables. A lot of his teaching is through parables, and we've been debating what all these parables mean for centuries now. So he gave us some great riddles to solve.
Exactly, exactly. Tell me a little bit more about your writing career. You have compared other contemporary figures to Jesus Christ as well. Tell us about that.
Well, I've done 4 books. The first one was called Extreme Entrepreneurs. That was Steve Jobs and Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
And that the essence of that book is coming up with a big idea for yourself. I mean, for your life or for whatever. It's developing the idea, coming up with the idea. Next was Martin Luther King and Jesus Christ. And that has to do with the courage to take your idea and go do something with it.
Mm.
So that's the courage part. The third book in the series is Nifty Neighbors. That's Mr. Rogers and Jesus Christ. And that is, if your idea is good enough and it's working, you're going to have to involve other people. You can't grow it by yourself. And that leads into the fourth book, Consummate Coaches. Once you've got all these people involved with your idea, you've got to manage the relationships to help them accomplish what you were trying to get them to accomplish. So it's a 4-book series, but it builds up really on our personal expectations and ability to deliver.
Wonderful. They're great examples throughout. You would never think of the parallels between Jesus and these people that you mentioned, such as Steve Jobs and Mr. Rogers, perhaps MLK, because they're both religious figures.
Yes, right.
Bill Belichick, now that he's dating a 24-year-old, absolutely not.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a message to tell. It doesn't mean he doesn't have something of value to add to the conversation, for sure.
Right.
Without a doubt. Tell us a little bit about your career and your work in helping mentor others to become successful leaders, successful coaches.
Well, I spent 25 years in the database marketing business,
Mhm.
which that's the current term. We used to call it junk mail,
Right.
But now it's database marketing. And at the end of my career, I wrote a book on the topic and ended up as a trainer, a teacher.
Mm.
And so I started getting the sense that I really enjoyed the teaching part. And when you're teaching a group of people, and all of a sudden you see the light goes on, they finally got it, and it's like, I like this kind of moment when somebody finally gets it.
Exactly.
So I like the idea of coaching. I like the idea of training. But my books I've written several books, but they were always business books.
Right.
The inspiration for this one came from trying to come up with something. My son-in-law is an agnostic.
Mhm.
And if you have a discussion with him, it turns into a debate and he turns off.
Right.
So that's why I came up with the Steve Jobs and Jesus Christ, because he loves Apple products.
Yeah.
And so I figured, well, if I can hook him with Steve Jobs and then kind of slide him over into, well, Jesus had some of the same characteristics and vice versa. Maybe I'd get him asking the questions. Well, we'll see in time if that actually is going to work. I don't know.
Exactly. Well, it is a provocative premise, and it really does get your attention. And as you said, there truly are commonalities. And even if you don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God, you must believe that he is a person who has left rather, an indelible mark for better on humanity.
Correct. He
Teaching
was an
and
influencer, no doubt about it.
absolutely, he's the OG, the original gangster of influencers, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'm hoping Jesus has a sense of humor. I'm
Right,
assuming he does. That's why we're telling the jokes here today.
right.
Amazing, amazing. Any other books in the works? I mean, I see this as like endless possibilities, because you could look at Donald Trump in Jesus Christ, how he's an effective leader.
Right.
Elon Musk in Jesus Christ. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I've already put out a couple of sequels now for you to
Oh,
work on,
I
right?
know. That's interesting you say that, because of the four current books, the only one that has the is still alive is Bill Belichick.
Right.
The other three are no longer living. So the idea of taking this series and doing it with Donald Trump, for example, or Elon Musk or whatever,
Right.
it's there's no end to it.
Right.
It can just keep going. So yes,
Yeah.
there could be other opportunities there. Yeah.
Wonderful. I also see it as a documentary. I mean, I could see this being taken to video form and taking a look at the lives of the two men and looking at the parallels. And I think that'd be fascinating and easy for viewers to digest, for those who don't pick up books like we used to, right?
Interesting to bring that up. That's already in the works
Awesome.
for all
Awesome.
four books. We're doing documentary. I
Like
call them
treatments or
storyboards.
something.
They call them something else, but from my background, we call them storyboards.
Right, exactly, or treatments or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
wonderful. Well, I think it'd be an excellent series of documentaries. I think it'd be fascinating. Obviously, they would interview you during the course of the documentary to give some insight on why you choose or chose rather to look at the parallels between these various figures and
right.
Jesus. Great, great conversation today. Wonderful book. It's a book you won't want to miss. It's a book that'll help you be a better leader, a better coach, a better person, both in your professional and personal life. It is called Consummate Coaches, Bill Belichick and Jesus Christ. It's written by Tracy Emerick Ph.D. It is an engaging and inspiring work that'll captivate everybody from football fans to the very religious, to everyone in between, because it offers profound insights into the art of leadership and personal growth. Dr. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
My pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine, sir. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.